Welcome to the offseason here in the Miami Dolphins franchise. The Dolphins unfortunately lost the Super Bowl in season number 4 to the Cowboys by 4 in a second half comeback. My capture card messed up. I apologize for that. But here we are in the offseason. Looking to build another championship contender, we have a bunch of free agents going into this season. But let's just check what's going on around the league. I have actually never seen this scenario. Matt Nagy and Joe Judge both get fired from their head coaching jobs and end up replacing each other. Let me know if that's actually happened in the NFL. I don't remember that ever happening. It's the most bizarre scenario that two coaches would just replace each other after getting fired. It's just interesting. I've never seen that before. So going into the offseason, we have a bunch of staff points, and I haven't highlighted this at all really in my videos because this part is kind of boring a little bit. Like player personnel tree, defensive coordinator tree, all that stuff, like it doesn't seem to really show itself on certain screens. Like you see it here in the tree, but you don't see like a bonus, like a offensive coordinator bonus when you see progression stats. Like that isn't really thrown in your face, so I kind of leave that section alone. But you can just see our player personnel tree is already almost filled out. And my goal is to really acquire draft picks and build through the draft. And that's why I've been building through that tree. You can just see all the draft picks we have in this year's draft. We have 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders, 2 third rounders. We have 2 sixth and 2 sevenths. I mean, we have loaded up in this draft. So scouting really isn't a thing anymore. You kind of set it and forget it. So we'll see how deep this draft is in the upcoming draft, as there's not too much to show you except for like guys that we have scouting reports on, and you kind of have a fixed percentage on how scouted they are based on your scouts that you put out there to scout these guys for. So we go into the re-signing period. We have a ton of free agents going into this season. Really, in season number 4 was our year to really capture that championship because we had a lot of free agents. But now we have to go and sign a couple and let a couple of go. But Xavier Howard just is too good to let go. I offer him a deal he cannot refuse, and he will accept that contract. We wanted to make it a multi-year contract as well, and he is locked up. Jerome Baker is also a free agent. He has been a lifelong Dolphin with us, and he has made an impact, but that's when he plays. He did not play in the playoffs. He was hurt. Remember, he got hurt, I believe, in the first round and could not play the rest of the way. So then we put in Chris Barnes, and you know what? I didn't see a huge impact from Chris Barnes since we signed him. So I go back to Jerome Baker and I offer him a 3-year deal. It will pay him until age 31, about $24 million total. And he does accept that. So he maybe takes a hometown discount with that contract, but we get him to sign up for the Dolphins for 3 more years. Byron Jones is the most interesting free agent, mainly because I just haven't seen the impact that he's had. He is regressing as well, so he's getting older. He's on the other side of, I wouldn't say the other side of 30, but maybe the other side of his football career going into his age 33 season. But then there's a young guy in Jaelan Phillips who is 26 years old, and you know what? He hasn't really popped for me in his career so far, but this season he had his best year, 6-sack season. And if I can get that production out of him every single year, I will take 6 sacks because we have a lot of young guys, along with Darius Howard, along with Sherwin Finney, and along with Raekwon Davis and Eric Hopkins. I mean, that is a young core, so I'm going to try to keep it together. We re-signed Jaelan Phillips to probably a deal that overpays him about $12 million a year. So we go into free agency not looking for a whole lot, but I am interested to see who is here. DeAndre Hopkins, Khalil Mack is a free agent. Eddie Jackson is a free agent. Travis Etienne, Shaq Barrett, and Jadeveon Clowney highlight this free agent class. Now, there are a lot of good players here, but honestly, we don't have a ton of holes that I want to fix in free agency. I really want to just add to our depth. One guy that we let walk a couple of years ago was Brandon Jones, and I definitely saw the difference of not having him, especially when we saw Timmy Obi go down in the divisional round versus the Ravens. We had to put a cornerback at strong safety. That was not fun. So we're going to offer Brandon Jones a contract, and hopefully he re-signs back with the Dolphins after being gone for a couple of years. Cameron Jordan is a free agent, and he is on the other side of 30. He is 36, but he's still 82 years old. I mean, 82 overall, and really, he is really good for being a 36-year-old defensive end. I'm going to overpay for him because I do worry about our health on the line, and I think that that's going to be something that we will need to address with that health. Just keep adding to that depth. As we advance on, after offering Hunter Long a contract as well, we find out that Brandon Jones rejects our contract offer, and so does Cameron Jordan. So the two guys we wanted to bring to our team that wasn't on our team last year, they do not commit. Brandon Jones ends up going to the Panthers. It was actually a lesser deal than we offered him. And then Cameron Jordan goes to the Dallas Cowboys. I guess he's looking to win a ring, and he saw that they were the Super Bowl champions. He signs with them. And then we were going to go after J.J. Watt next, possibly just a one-year deal. He signs with the Packers, so he goes home back to his home state. So we go to the league signings, and we find out DeAndre Hopkins signs with the Patriots, a 3-year, $60 million deal. So maybe he even took a little bit of a discount. But then we find out Khalil Mack also goes to the Patriots. So not only do we get devastated with a superstar on offense going to our division, but a superstar on defense as well. But the Patriots are not done. They signed Byron Jones from us. So we let Byron Jones walk. He signs a 2-year, $11 million just about deal with the Patriots. And they are straight loading up to make a run at the division champs, and Stephon Tuitt also agrees. So they do sign a bunch of guys over the age of 30 in hopes that this will put them over us in the division. But wow, what a big free agent class for the Patriots. Chris Barnes ends up signing with the Lions. They have been very, very bad in this franchise. They have the #1 pick going into this draft. That's how bad they've been. Quintez Cephas ends up re-signing with them as well. And they have the #1 projected overall pick. And they have their eyes on Dwayne Carroll, who highlights the top of every mock draft. But we will just take a look at who these top guys are. Dwayne Carroll is gonna be the top cornerback in the draft, and one thing that we need is cornerback. We just let Byron Jones walk. We just let Darius Slay walk as well. We did not re-sign him. We re-signed Xavier Howard. But one thing that we have struggled with is just stopping the pass. We saw it in the Super Bowl in the first half. We saw it in every game before that. We just could not stop the pass very well. I need somebody opposite of Xavier Howard to really shut it down, and that's just something we've lacked. And seeing that now we have 2 first-round draft picks, we have the #3 pick and the #31 pick, which is our draft pick, we will take a look at these top corners. First, there's Dwayne Carroll out of Michigan. He is a very polished cornerback. I mean, he can go up and make a big hit on every single receiver that catches the ball. He strips the ball away as well. You got to hold on to that ball tightly, but this is where he excels. Press coverage, man, you're not getting away from him. We got to see the Minnesota-Michigan game that they had this year, this matchup at the Big House, and it was a good one. Michigan ended up winning this game, and I got to say, having Carroll on the outside definitely helped them. He is an athletic guy. He runs a 4.38. In his pro day, he ran a 4.35, a bit better. But he is just amazing. He is a ball hawk. He is definitely the best player in this draft by a lot of experts. But we don't have the #1 overall pick. So we had to focus on maybe the second best corner in this draft. And in my opinion, he is the best cornerback. Ben Callaway out of Minnesota. He is excellent. Ball skills are online, and right now you're looking at his best college game right here, where he had 2 picks, 1 went for a touchdown, and he was just locked down all day long on this Michigan receiving core. And this guy can absolutely play. Now, we own the number 3 pick in the draft. If we see that the number 1 pick ends up going to the Michigan cornerback, it's a possibility that our guy Callaway could go with that 2nd overall pick. So we might have to be a little aggressive in this draft because the number 3 prospect is a quarterback, and I'm not sure if the Bears will draft a quarterback at that number 2 spot. They might go after Callaway if Carroll is picked number 1. But Callaway is awesome athletically. He runs a 4.34 40, and he is excellent. He's actually 3rd in the bench press as far as cornerbacks go. He had 15 reps. And just look at these ratings. A man coverage, A zone coverage, A tackling. He is a do-it-all cornerback. The guy that you want opposite of Xavier Howard. So we go to the draft, and number 1 overall ends up being Dwayne Carroll out of Michigan. And that will put us on the clock here. Do we make a move for the number 2 overall pick? I think we do. The Bears are looking for a 2nd first-round pick here, not just the number 3 pick, and we have 2 of them. So we offer up both of our first-round picks to just move up 1 spot to hopefully select the future at cornerback for the Miami Dolphins. Pick number 3 and pick number 31 in this draft for pick number 2. We offer this up, and the Bears accept the trade. So we move up 1 spot. The Bears acquire 2 first-round draft picks, and we will select Ben Callaway out of Minnesota. He is excellent. He is a ball hawk. He's got the speed. He's got the size. He's also got the youth, 22 years old, and he ends up being 95 speed. Hidden dev trait. I wonder what that trait is. I can't wait to unlock it. But I've never been more excited to select a guy, I think. I think Callaway is the highest rated prospect I've had in this series. I like Darius Howard a lot. I did like Sherwin Finney a lot, but Callaway is just a do-it-all guy, and I am excited to put him on the outside. Now, we go on to our next pick, which is in the 2nd round, pick number 31 here, and we're looking for the best player on the board. I don't need a specific player to play in a specific spot here, but I just want the best player available. Charleston Pippen is an interesting guy, but we don't know much on him, so I think we might pass him up. Bob Wright has a round 2, round 3 grade. He looks pretty good. I like him right here. He's not the highest rated guy. He has excellent scouting report. I mean, the scouting report is right there on him. But we added a guy to our board in Philip Philbin who is excellent. He has a good 40. One thing I love about him, though, he is first in the 20-yard shuttle. That kind of lets you know that he is a quick guy. But on defense, that's especially important because that means that he probably has good pursuit. We don't have pursuit unlocked right now, but Philip Philbin, at 22 years old out of Ohio State, I know he's coming from a good defense. He has excellent traits here. I'm going to go with it. Philip Philbin out of Ohio State will be hidden dev traits with 88 speed, 88 agility, 88 acceleration. So it ends up being 88 and 81 jumping, 86 change of direction. This was an excellent selection. And like I said, I missed out on Brandon Jones in free agency, so I definitely wanted to go after a safety who can back up our starters in Timmy Obi and also Javon Holland. So we add more youth, and I go back to Bob Wright with our second round pick. Pick number 32, we have the Cowboys pick. We have back-to-back picks, and I'm going to double up on safety. Bob Wright, who we just looked at, ends up being normal dev, so not hidden dev like our last 2 selections, but 86 speed, a little bit slower than Philip Philbin, and it ends up being 90 acceleration. Good player right away here in the draft. In the first 2 rounds, we have 3 good selections. So now we move on to round 3, pick number 19, and I am definitely looking at a couple of positions. But running back is maybe one that I have maybe been blind to a little bit. Terrence Pitt Howard has been good, but he just hasn't, you know, taken the top off the defense, as receivers like to say. But he hasn't really made a difference on the ground. I think I can find another 1,000 yard, another TPH. I want a guy who I can't find another one of. And I think that Drummond, we drafted him there. I think he will be a good player. We'll have to keep an eye on him. Remember, we have multiple of seconds, thirds, and we had multiple firsts, but we ended up trading those both away to trade up. But now here we are in the third with our second third-round pick, and I'm looking at a pass rusher here in Garrison Scott. He is awesome athletically, 4'6", 40, the second out of any left outside linebacker. And I don't really have his skills unlocked here, but his pursuit is a B. So I might be taking a little bit of a chance on him. He is 22 years old out of Southern Miss, and we will select him here. 85 speed, normal dev, and I'm excited to see what he is. 90 acceleration. So we add him to the rest of our depth here with our young guys. With our next pick in the 5th round, we end up trading back into next year's draft, and we end up getting a draft pick out of that pick. So now here we are in the 5th, and we end up selecting Glenn Stanton, a nice offensive lineman. I noticed that towards the end of the season, our linemen started to get hurt, so I definitely want to add to that depth more as we move on to the 6th round. Here we have multiple 6th and multiple 7ths, and I decided to draft Josh Odom, a right guard. Like I said, adding to this depth on the offensive line. He's out of Florida. I don't really know too much about him, but he has 88 strength, which is pretty good. So I decided to draft another offensive lineman. And then we go into the 7th round, and I'm just trying to see if I can trade up in the next year's draft, and the Jets are willing to trade their pick. They have been trade partners with us, and they have been absolutely terrible so far, so I don't feel bad trading with them. And then we move on to the final pick in the draft, pick number 31 in the 7th round, and I definitely want to draft a cornerback because we do need to add to that cornerback depth. There are a couple of guys here that are at the top, but these are potentially undrafted free agents. So we're just kind of taking a flyer on these guys. Josh Farrell is here. We don't really have too much on him. I decided to go ahead and draft Ben Callaway's running mate opposite of him in college and go after Melvin Swede out of Minnesota. So we add to that cornerback depth, and that will complete the Season 4 off-seasons draft. Now let's look at these guys a little closer. Ben Callaway, our highest draft pick so far in this series at number 2 overall. He ends up being excellent. 80 overall. I don't know why the morale does that. That's actually probably a glitch in the system right now. 80 man coverage, 82 zone coverage, 95 speed. You can't get any better than that with a rookie, to be honest with you. Hidden dev. We don't know what that's going to be. It could possibly be superstar. Who knows? Philip Philbin out of Ohio State ends up being hidden dev too. Is there a scenario where he starts right away? I'm not sure because he has the ratings to do it. He could be better right now than Timmy Obi is, but Timmy Obi still will be our starter at strong. But there's a chance that Phil Philbin could be that sub linebacker spot. Bob Wright, who we selected here with our 2nd pick in the 2nd round, he ends up being actually pretty decent, but he's not as good as Philbin, but I'm not mad at that pick, especially for a depth guy. Greg Drummond ends up being 90 speed. Now, during the combine results, I was looking at him, and he was ranked higher than 90 speed, I thought. But he ends up just being 90 speed. I'm pretty disappointed in that. I was hoping for a guy that would at least have like 92 to 93 speed. But we'll see what he turns into. Garrison Scott is a pass rusher who I was going to depend on a little bit, but it doesn't look like he is going to be very polished right away. We'll have to develop his pass rushing moves. Glenn Stanton is a good depth offensive lineman. I definitely like him as a backup, but that's about it. He's definitely not going to start. DJ Yates is our starting left tackle. He has nothing to be worried about here with this pick in the 6th round. And then we draft Josh Odom, another depth offensive lineman as well. He is a pass blocking guard, it looks like, with excellent strength, and he has the youth as well. So then with our final pick, we ended up drafting Melvin Swede. and he ends up being 61 overall. I don't know what's up with that morale decrease there, but just decent. I don't know if he's even going to make the squad, but I'm glad that we had a good top end of our draft. Now, the number 1 overall pick, Dwayne Carroll, ends up being just slightly better than Ben Callaway. 81 overall, 83-man, 79 zone. So he's a good player. He's just obviously not as fast. He has 92 speed. Ben Callaway had 95. With the 3rd overall pick, the Bears ended up selecting a quarterback in Chuck Tarpley. They have not done anything with Justin Fields except for in season 1 in my series where they won the Super Bowl. So I have no idea why they would go after a quarterback, but maybe they're looking to move on from Fields. Maybe they don't want to pay him. The rest of the first round was absolutely loaded with cornerback. John Macklin was an 80 overall cornerback who dropped to number 10 overall. So he probably would have been there at our pick at number 3. Actually, not probably. He would have been there. He ends up being 94 speed and just as good as Ben Callaway. And wow, I mean, this cornerback draft was crazy. The 49ers end up picking a 78 overall strong safety. There are a couple of other cornerbacks who go in the first round as well. And then there were some good late round, first round guys. Keon White was a cornerback who went in the first round. He goes to the Patriots. So the Patriots just have a dominant offseason. They draft a pretty good rookie. And I want to say the guy that I was going to draft with my second first round pick was going to be Joe Bartow. I would have probably had to trade up for him, but a running back, and this was the kind of back I was looking for. 93 speed, 95 acceleration, 21 years old. It would have been amazing to actually draft him, but too bad the Titans get him instead. Our schedule looks like this. We get to face the Cowboys in the Super Bowl rematch in week number 6. I can't wait for that. But our schedule is actually pretty favorable. So we will see what our record ends up being. I'm going for that number 1 seed this year. But our team looks loaded this year. I can't wait to see what we turn into. But our draft was good. We didn't have to do anything in free agency, really. Even though there were some guys that declined our contract offers. I'm very happy with the results of this offseason. So next episode, we will start season number 5 right away and get into this season. I'm excited to avenge that loss. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Tell me what you think of this offseason and Ben Callaway, number 2 overall. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in a dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, yeah, this how we ride.